There are certain rules that we're told when we get to a certain age that we need to follow. Those rules are things I never adhere to. So that's don't show too much flesh, don't wear a short skirt, you can't wear a bikini when you get to your 50s. And this is a massive one that I really hate. You have to cut your hair short when you get to a certain age. I don't adhere to any of those rules. However, I do have some things I never do now that I've hit my 50s, and I'm actually 57 now. I'm going to talk about it in this video, but just as a clue, I'm not perfect. I don't adhere to kind of some of the perfect influencers and those people that are talking online and you think they never make a mistake. You can't follow rules like that, can you? So I'm going to be talking about it in this video. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in absolutely incredible shape. And I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I never do since I've hit my 50s. And I'd love to know in the comments whether you agree with some of these things or maybe you don't agree with them. And the first one I'm going to talk about is alcohol. Now, I quit drinking alcohol, full disclosure, at around about the age of 51, 52, and I'm 57 now. And it's hugely improved my life. And one of the reasons I've got a kind of problem with women drinking alcohol, in particular women over 50 drinking alcohol, is it's kind of not a good look, is it? Getting drunk all the time. And so, yeah, it's okay to have 1 or 2 glasses of wine, whatever it is. But for me, I found it really difficult just to have 1 or 2 glasses and end up consuming the whole bottle. So when you've got like a drunk 20-year-old, that doesn't look good really, but it looks even worse when you're in your 50s, doesn't it? Now, there are kind of 3 main problems with menopausal women drinking alcohol, which I'm going to get into. So the first problem with alcohol is that you can find that alcohol really affects your body a lot more than it did when you were in your younger days. So I don't know whether you kind of know. I know I see this. So people that I know will tell me when they've gone out and had a bit too much to drink, they'll say, and they're kind of in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they'll say, it's taken me about 3 days to recover from that one night of drinking. And there's a reason for that. There's a scientific reason. And that's because our bodies just don't tolerate alcohol very much anymore. We've got less water in our bodies. And so our bodies are not diluting the alcohol, but when you were 20, that's why hangovers don't feel so bad. Your body actually dilutes the alcohol. It kind of gets it out of your system much quicker. So that's the first reason not to drink. The second reason not to drink is if you're experiencing menopause. So if you're watching this channel and you're female and you're kind of over 45, you can find that alcohol actually wreaks havoc with your hormones and makes your hormone health even worse. So what I sort of find that women experience is a lot of waking up in the night without alcohol, but with alcohol, it's gonna make it a million times worse to get a good night's sleep. Then thirdly, alcohol is kind of empty calories. So if you think of something, I'm going to talk about something really extreme now, like drinking cocktails. So a cocktail, or even a mocktail, I don't even drink mocktails to be honest, they're just loaded with sugar because they're basically a load of sugar and fruit juice, you know. And so what you are doing is you're consuming empty calories. It's not actually giving you any nutritional value, but some of these alcoholic drinks, particularly if you're consuming a lot of them, is the equivalent to like 1, 2, or maybe 3 meals, but you're not getting any nutrition out of it. You know, maybe a little bit with the fruit if it's a cocktail, but if it's another kind of drink, you're actually not getting any nutritional value. So I would just add as a side note, the science is telling us now that there's a strong link to cancer and alcohol. So there is every reason to quit or cut right back, or like me, just go completely teetotal. And my life has really transformed as a result of not consuming alcohol anymore. The number 2 thing I've quit is stopping comparing myself to other people, and particularly kind of influencers like me. You know, you can find that you go online and you see people, don't you, with these perfect bodies, perfect lives, and you know, I can tell you my life is not perfect. I don't have a perfect body, but I used to look in awe at some of these women my age as well, that look absolutely incredible, incredibly lean, incredibly fit, and all hats off to them. But we're all different. We've all got different genetics, different ways that we are built, and so our bodies are going to respond differently to diet and exercise. We're going to look different, you know, facially. We're going to age differently. And so there is no point in comparing yourself to anybody else. And as you get older, do you find you get a little bit more comfortable in your own skin, and you just want to be the best version of you, don't you? And that's what I want to be. I want to be the best version of me, which, by the way, is completely flawed. You know, I don't eat perfectly all the time. I don't work out perfectly all the time. What I do is practice something called the 80-20 rule, where I lead a life that's, you know, healthy and balanced. You know, I get a good amount of exercise in, I get healthy nutrition 80% of the time, and the other 20% of the time I'm absolutely not perfect. And that means it's kind of sustainable for the rest of my life behaving like that. Whereas if I'm striving to be perfect all the time, then it just becomes impossible. And what you've got to remember as well is many of the people online that do look perfect, they might have things going on in the background. So they might take performance enhancing drugs, for example. That's like a biggie, especially for people like stage competitors. So it's really impossible to look like that. And I know that, you know, that's been transferred to sort of Hollywood and places like that with movie stars, where, you know, they might be getting surgery, for example, and all sorts of things that maybe we don't have access to. So it's important to remember that and just be the very best version of you. I used to think I was far too busy to take care of myself, and now it's an excuse I never use, even though I'm extremely busy, probably busier than ever. What it was is I actually just wasn't prioritizing myself. So I was putting everybody first apart from me, and that was what was preventing me from getting success with my body. And I can tell you, actually, when I went through marriage breakdown and divorce, I started to learn about prioritizing myself and started putting myself first, because I realized that when I was putting myself last, I wasn't actually achieving anything or getting any success with that. And it wasn't about being too busy. It was about making exercise, making nutrition a priority for myself. So how did I do that? Well, I had a 3-hour commute every day, you know, 1.5 hours each way to work. And I had young children who were older now, but at the time they were young children that I had to prepare meals for and do all my nutritional prep, working out. And ultimately in that year I was actually training for a bikini competition. So the training schedule was really demanding, and in the last kind of 3 to 6 weeks, you're going to the gym twice a day. But I still fitted that in because I was making myself a priority and not using the excuse of being too busy, which I know many people who watch my channel actually leave comments saying they're too busy. But the thing about it is, if you've got 20 to 30 minutes to look on social media or watch television, you've got 20-30 minutes to work out. Some of the workouts in my app, in my program, are 20 to 30 minutes, and they're amazing workouts that can give you great success. So there's absolutely no excuse for not fitting exercise in, because after all, you should be making yourself a priority. And it's never something that I say either out loud or internally, I'm too busy to make my health a priority. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, because I know it's controversial, but that is my opinion. The number 3 thing that I've stopped doing in my 50s is trendy diets. I think I did paleo, I've done intermittent fasting. None of those things were effective for me to stick to in the long term. But if you've got a diet with a name, especially if it's a new thing that's come out, maybe it's juicing, maybe it's keto, most of the time what you find is you initially get success with them, don't you? Because you're hopping on the scale, you're finding like the scale's going down and you're thinking this is absolutely fantastic. And then after a while, because normally you're cutting out a whole food group, or you're not able to eat proper meals, or it's really restrictive, what you'll find is you just fall off because you can't do it in the long term. And then what will happen is you're gonna gain weight, and you're gonna maybe even gain more weight than you had when you started on the diet. Lots of studies have been carried out, and many of the studies have shown that that's what actually happens to many of the cohorts that they've studied, is they actually gain more weight than when they started on the diet. So you don't want trendy diets. I practice something called high protein eating, which I absolutely love, and what I talked about before, which is the sort of 80-20 rule. So doing it 80% of the time is normally, for most people, going to be good enough, unless you're doing something like competing in bodybuilding shows where you kind of have to be 100% perfect. If you're not doing that, then you want to be doing it 80% of the time, and you want to do something called high protein eating, and eating, a gram of protein per pound in body weight. That's what I do, and it's not a diet. So it means I can go out for meals, for example. I can go and eat at friends and relatives' houses. I can go on vacation because I'm not worrying about the diet. And so I haven't regained the weight that I've lost or the body fat that I've lost, because it's easy to stick to in the long term. The number 4 thing I never do now I've hit my 50s is body negativity. And I don't do body negativity on myself. I know other people do body negativity on me sometimes, and they criticize me, and I get lots of nasty comments on some of my posts about my body. And I'm not going to reveal now which parts of my body that is. I've learned to accept my flaws. It's absolutely fine not to be perfect. And I used to stand in front of the mirror for hours before I went on my body transformation, and I was really negative and down on myself. And I absolutely regret that now. I really regret it, because the first thing that you need to do is get comfortable in your own skin if you're considering going on a body transformation. And don't do it because you hate yourself. You've got to learn to love yourself, love your body, love the flaws, love the cellulite. I've got a bigger than average rear end, and all through my teenage years and my early 20s, because that was when thin was in. I absolutely hated my womanly curves. And now I look back on it and I think, oh, you know, I had a body to die for, and I was actually really desirable in by today's standard. But at the time, I kind of hated on myself. And you don't want to hate on yourself, you want to love yourself. And actually, you know, celebrate your body. Think about the amazing achievements you've had with that body that you're in, particularly when you get to my stage in life. I've produced 3 children. You know, I've done some sort of physical feats. I've climbed Mount Snowdonia. I've done a couple of half marathons. Then I realised running was out of the question for a 50-year-old woman, because it means you're going to lose lots of muscle mass when you do distance running. But at the time, it was a physical achievement. And what have I achieved with my body and my mind, you know, over the years? Enormous success. So, you know, I stand in the mirror now and not focus on picking out the problems, but focus on loving myself and think about all the amazing things that I've achieved and I continue to achieve, whether that's being able to kind of keep up with my kids and the demands of, you know, having sort of older teenagers they are now, and children, young adults that actually want to do like physical activities and being able to keep up with them and do all these amazing things that we do. So, you know, I've got a lot to be thankful for, and I don't want body shaming anybody. I don't want you to body shame yourself, and I don't want you to body shame anybody else. Because when we have positivity going on in our life, that's when we can feel we're getting a great result, and we can celebrate our amazing achievements. Would you love a blueprint for achieving a happy, more healthy, more vibrant life? If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, well, I'm offering one woman $20,000 to transform her body, and the previous contestants have had amazing success with transforming their bodies. So it's not just about the prize money, it's actually about achieving great things with your body that you didn't know that you could achieve, and getting better mobility and a vitality for life. I have got this 8-week transformation challenge going on. I'm going to put the link in the description and also link it up at the end of this video. Do have a look and take part. If it's not going on at the time that you click the link, then you can pre-register by putting in your email address and name, and we will let you know as soon as the doors open on this amazing challenge.